Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? I'm Steve Stebbing,
I'm Chloe Stebbing.
and this is the weekly show released every Friday at 9 a.m. that gives you what you should be putting in your eyeballs for the weekend and for the week after, really. And Chloe, second episode. How you feeling?
I'm feeling better this time. Feeling a little bit more comfortable. Just,
There we go.
yeah, ready to get into it.
Dig in because I'm going to go a little longer this week, I think. All right. So last week, I teased the film Lisa Frankenstein, the big movie of this week. Chloe, what's it about?
All right, so the synopsis is a coming of rage love story about a teenager and her crush who happen to be a corpse. After a set of horrific circumstances bring him back to life, the two embark on a journey to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts. So, right off the bat, uh oh.
Yeah, I like the coming of rage thing. It's also directed by Zelda Williams, and it stars Catherine Newton and Cole Sprouse. You might as well call me out on it right now. Last week, I said that she was in Spontaneous.
Yep.
She's not. She
Nope.
was not.
That was another person
She's
named
not.
Catherine.
Catherine Langford. Funny enough, I think they were both either cast or um, in deleted scenes were Cassie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But she is what makes this movie work, in my opinion. And that Diablo Cody script. Diablo Cody wrote Jennifer's Body, Juno, Young Adult, all movies with a very kind of pointed voice to them. Have you seen any of those films?
I saw Jennifer's Body. I think everybody's seen Jennifer's Body.
Not at the time.
Yeah, yeah,
It
actually.
was a bomb when it came out, and people hated it. It's a great movie, though.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It is. It is good. It's different.
yes. Yeah, and I think it gets a bad rap. We actually covered it on our, horror podcast, Tremble, that I do with, Curtin Taylor, and, it really gave it its flowers 'cause it really deserves it. I won't say that Lisa Frankenstein is on the level of Jennifer's Body, but it is a very different movie. I think it's a movie that borrows a lot in style to, like, films like, Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice. Like, it has that kinda look, but, like, a prettier pink version of it. I would also say that it borrows from Heathers. Have you ever seen Heathers? That this one's reaching back. This is, like, late '80s. Christian Slater, Winona Ryder. Have you heard of this one?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. This deserves to be on the homework list. And point at the homework. Point at the homework. Homework list. Point at the
Homework list that
homework.
goes right in the garbage. Just kidding.
At least there's honesty, right? At least there's honesty. I would say the weaker piece of this movie is Cole Sprouse. Not that I disliked him in it, but I mean, some of these performances are really, really great. And Cole Sprouse is kind of lost in the Frankenstein's monster mumbly thing of this whole story. And I mean the stepsister, her name's Liza Soberano. She like steals this film in so many different ways. I thought she was really, really funny. And if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes on it, it's like in the rotten, I think it's 54% rotten or something like that. I don't go on that. I had a lot of fun with it. It has its lull points that kind of drag the star meter down a bit, but I really had fun with it. It's a good theatrical movie, and the soundtrack's really, really, really great. Like some really great like 80s and early 90s emo stuff in there, like The Cure, The Smiths, and all that kind of good stuff. So I dug it, and I want to celebrate anything that Zelda Williams does because I loved her father so much. So I want her to succeed in film as well. And I'd really like to see what she does next. Anything on you? Does this one spark any interest for you at all?
Well, about Cole Sprouse, you said he's not very good in this. I feel like that might have something to do with Riverdale. And just the way that that's gone, it's kind of gone down the
Is it
shitter. Um,
downhill?
yeah,
Ugh. I've only seen season one.
season one was good. Yeah, and then they just went absolutely batshit, and the entire cast, like on interviews, they're just like, yeah, the show's garbage. Like they hate their own show.
Wow.
So I don't know. It like maybe Cole's losing passion for acting because of it. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but
Well, I think there's a certain angle when you come at from being a child actor, and especially in a Disney show, which it comes with a whole different set of problems, it seems, and you have to grow up a lot quicker, or you're going to be exploited more. I mean, there's so many horror stories that come out of those Disney kids, and not well, I'm not talking about like the Mouseketeer kids like Brittany and Justin and Christina Aguilera and stuff like that. I'm talking about the, your Hannah Montanas, your Selena Gomez, or Ariana Grande, I think is a Disney kid too, right? I think it was like So Victorious or something like that, or
yeah, I think she
some
was
show.
she was in Victorious, and then she was also in Sam and Cat, um,
Right.
with Jenna Jenna McCurdy.
Jenna McCurdy, that one makes sense. That one very makes sense. But yeah, they all have their certain damage that comes off of it. So, but I don't know. He was in what he was given. He's supposed to be the monster slash dream boy in this one. So, did he pull it off? I guess so. It's just not my generation. So I can't look at him as a dreamboat. He's
Yeah,
the
he's a
he's the
toddler.
kid from Big Daddy, you know? It's just it's a little different to me, so but I don't know, still worth it. I think it would speak to you, if I'm being honest.
Possibly.
It's a girl's horror without really the horror.
Well, then I wouldn't be into
It's a little bit of blood.
it.
You need something a little
Yeah.
meatier than that. All right, well, let's move on. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe.
Mexican teenagers Aristotle Mendoza and Dante Quintana explore their friendship while struggling with racial and ethnic identity, sexuality, and family relationships in 1987 El Paso, Texas. And this one is written and directed by H. H.
Yep.
Alberto, based on a book, and it's starring Max Paleo and Reese Gonzalez.
Which are two actors that I've honestly never
I
seen
have no idea who
before.
they are.
And yeah, and actually this movie is was actually really solid. It's a good queer story, queer like friendship and maybe love story at its base. I don't like, the characters don't really know that until a bit later, right? But I think it's well told, and the more stories that you get out about finding your way like this, um, the more accessible it becomes, I think. And I think that this is a nicely told story that does, in some ways, kind of follow the same tropes of a coming of age story, but does it with that community in mind. And it's also like a Latinx film at its core as well, which is we need more films like that as well. So I think it is a very well told story. These two actors are really good and have a good future ahead of them. It also has Eva Longoria, which I was like, oh, as soon as I saw her, I was like, is she producing this movie? She didn't produce this movie, but I thought she produced it because she seems to produce everything now. And Eugenio Derbez, who's an actor that I don't really enjoy in a lot of stuff, but I thought he was really good in this one. He plays Aristotle's dad, and I think he's a really good kind of emotional core to this film. Um, and there's a actually I was reading that a lot of people who like this movie were fans of a Netflix series that I've never seen before called Heartstopper. Yeah, this film and Heartstopper are very popular.
Yeah, I've never heard of either.
Yeah. I just saw that it was coming out on, Blu-ray, and I had an avenue to check it out, so I was like, "Nah, let's throw it in there," and it felt like an innocuous enough film. But yeah, it actually had a nice helping of heart to it that, kept me along for the ride. Alright, so the next up is a Canadian-produced film called Suze.
When her only daughter goes off to university, an empty nest mother gets stuck taking care of her daughter's heartbroken ex boyfriend, whom she can't stand.
This movie blew me away. I sent you the screener for this. I implore you to watch this movie and maybe give your feedback on it in the future at some point.
Okay.
Because it's just a really funny comedy drama that just feels very off the cuff and real in its delivery. And it's led by Michaela Watkins and Charlie Gillespie. Michaela Watkins has been in so many things. She's very kind of supporting role in a lot of stuff, but always good and always memorable. Did you see Werewolves Within? Came out
No,
last year, maybe beginning of last year with Sam Richardson.
no.
It's on Shudder, I think. That's a must watch. It's really, really, really good. She's in that one. She's supporting player in You Hurt My Feelings with Julia Louis Dreyfus and Tobias Menzies. She's really good in that. She was also in the movie with Jillian Bell called Brittany Runs a Marathon, which is on Prime Video. It's a really, really good comedy drama, loosely based on a true story. But I really, really dug this. Charlie Gillespie, who plays said boyfriend that she can't stand, Gage, played, yeah, Charlie Gillespie is from New Brunswick. Damn near steals this movie. He's so funny and so like, I don't know, he's so lovable in like a dumb puppy way that I don't know, you really dig the relationship between them. And then the daughter, this guy's ex-girlfriend is just kind of a nightmare in many different ways, and I don't know, it brings them together in such an interesting way, and I really love this film. It's definitely a people pleaser, and anytime like a movie with good human connection comes along, I dig into it right away. So Suze was definitely up my alley, and I had no idea that it was going to be as good as it was. All right, so next up is Gringa.
A troubled teenage girl runs away to Mexico to find the father she has never known. Together, they learn that a family can be put back together, even if all they have are the missing pieces. No.
So I forget who's the director on this one. Who's the director on?
Oh, the director is Marnie Eng and E.J. Forster,
Right. So
and it's
neither of
starring
them.
Jess Garber and Steve Zahn.
Yes.
Steve Zahn.
Yeah, Steve Zahn. How do you feel about Steve Zahn? Okay, Steve Zahn, in my opinion, he rocks. Okay, he's great in everything he does.
I, f- I feel like I might not be remembering this actor correctly, and I think I do this a lot with this specific actor because his name is Steve. I think that he's um, the nerdy guy from Daddy Daycare, the Star
Yes.
Trek guy. It is him?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And just for the audience sakes, Daddy Daycare is a movie that I put on for Chloe all the time.
Yeah.
All the time as a young child. Eddie Murphy, Jeff Garlin, Steve Zahn. That's
Steve
right.
Zahn was my favorite.
There we go. There we
In
go.
that movie? Yeah.
So he's the dad in this movie, and he's living in Mexico. He's a former soccer player because Jessica Bohr's character, she was in the last season of Shameless for probably a dozen episodes. I really liked her in this one, but Steve Zahn is the drive. So he's living in Mexico. He is a former soccer player that's basically paradise drunk now. Her mother dies in a car accident, and it's in a blink and you miss it turn from Judy Greer. Do you know who Judy Greer is?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, you feel robbed when Judy Greer gets taken out of the movie. I was like, come on. Really? I love her. I absolutely love her. I don't know how you feel about her, but I'm a huge fan of her anytime she shows up in something. Um, if you love her, there's a movie called Aporia that you should see. That's the homework. That's, you know it now. You know.
It's on the imaginary list.
Yeah, exactly. Bin it. But Steve Zahn is big reason why this movie is great. I mean, it is kind of a formula for following fish out of water movie. I mean, suburban girl, troubled girl goes down to Mexico to meet her father and have some kind of family connection again, and stranger in a strange land type thing. Um,
Mm.
but I don't know. It's nice. I kind of like both these movies. Going from Sue's to Gringa, they're both like nice and light crowd pleasing movies. They're also cloud pleasing. I'll make that word up right here because I can't speak correctly. They'll please the clouds. They're great. But no, I really loved it, and again, nothing that's going to be like 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. Like, these aren't like amazing blow you away movies, but they're just nice movies for, like, I don't know, like a weekend afternoon. So I enjoyed both so much. So um more Canadian stuff. We got Exile.
Shortly before his release from prison, Ted Evans receives a threat from the man whose family he killed for drunk driving. Okay, yeah. If you contact your family, I'll kill them.
Which is like, I mean, it sounds like an interesting like short storyline or maybe short film, but it does feel in feature length like it's so stretched. And I really like the lead actors. It's Adam Beach, who is a great Canadian actor, a great Canadian Indigenous actor, and Camille Sullivan, who has been in so many different Canadian productions, and is kind of staple to BC as well. Um, I like them both, but I just thought that the acting style towards this film just really took me out of it. It was almost stage quality in a lot of degrees. It was like heightened, like it was just a little too much, and the execution of it didn't really leave a lot to be desired. Like, there are certain film executions where I can tell it is a stage play being put to screen, and I can vibe with that, with like that. I can get into something like that. But this film, I don't know, it just felt like it was so uneven as the film continued, that I just kind of lost interest in it. So as far as a thriller goes, it wasn't that thrilling to me. It just kind of was a puddle of meh by the end.
Yeah, and it, like, I obviously haven't seen it, but it seems like it's also going for the revenge arc,
Hmm.
and that is so overplayed.
Hmm.
Like, if I see a movie that it's like anything to do with like a revenge plot, I'm like, no. Like,
Hmm.
I've seen this movie 500 other times. Like,
Hmm.
how many times can you like do a revenge plot?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. They just kind of put me off now.
Well, I mean, if that was the goal for it, it doesn't succeed. Like, just saying right now, I mean, you have the link as well, so if you want to check it out in the future, but just didn't work for me. Really did not.
And also, the guy who got released from prison was
Hmm.
in prison for killing
Yeah.
a, a family that was drunk driving. The whole family was drunk driving?
All of them together. They all had steering wheels. They all had independent steering. Even the baby had a steering wheel and a little beer, and it was weird. All right, Giannis, the marvelous journey, and this one might be fun for you.
The story of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't know. I feel bad. The global NBA superstar from the streets of Athens to becoming an NBA champion and two-time league MVP. I don't know what any of this means.
So this is straight up. This is a sports documentary. This is on
Mhm.
Prime Video. I'm a sucker for sports documentaries. I kind of love them. There's something about them that because I when it comes to sports, I'm a guy that can kind of drop into things and know what's going on as far as watching it or in a conversation and everything. Basketball is one of those outside ones, but watching this film, Giannis is a phenom. He's incredible. They call his nickname is the Greek Freak, and he is a point guard that is out of control with finesse. He's it's just beautiful player. And he was born in Nigeria and emigrated to Greece, and then basically scouts found him in Greece, and then he was drafted really, really late by the Milwaukee Bucks in the draft in 2014, I want to say. And literally, they know they were drafting probably one of the greatest players in the NBA right now. And it's just a really interesting story of like perseverance and drive. And I find it really interesting that he puts up all these crazy numbers in basketball games, and the reasoning is he says that it's not talent, it's because he doesn't want to go home. He doesn't want to go back to what to the nothing that him and his family had before. So his family's experience, the American dream, all that stuff is riding on his shoulders. And it's a fascinating story. Like beyond the sports, beyond anything like that, just a human story at its core. That's fascinating to me.
Mhm.
And that's why I like documentary film, really. But yeah, it's basketball, so I don't expect you to have really anything to say about it. Let's get I got a double shot of Welgo USA releases, both South Korean films. So let's start off with Dr. Cheon and the Lost Talisman.
The story of a fake exorcist, Dr. Chian, who is commissioned for the case of a girl who is strongly possessed. Demons got her in a chokehold.
Right? Like flexing, flex style. That is just such the like most frustrating synopsis. But I guess it's like really basically and direct to the point because yeah, Dr. Sean is an exorcist that's a sham at
Mhm.
his core. Then he gets the real deal kind of thrust at him, and he's forced to adapt on the fly with his assistant, who kind of does all of his tech grifts and everything, but is also somehow connected to an older spirit. It's South Korea, and some of the like I'm a huge South Korean film fan. Like I love Bong Joon Ho films, Park Chan Wook, Kim Ji Hoon, even some of Hirokazu Koreeda's Korean work and stuff. Like I love Korean film. I've always been about Korean film. Some of it doesn't work for me, and this is a prime of example of exactly one that doesn't work for me. And it's because it presents itself as goofy and out there and then wants to get serious at certain points in the film, and it's like I'm sorry, the ship sailed on that. Like your tone is all over the place. I can't find your pulse. And I mean I like the lead actor too. He was in the Train to Busan sequel, Peninsula, so I like him, but the movie doesn't work. And that's all we really have to say about Dr. Chan and the Lost Talisman. All right. So let's go to space. More specifically, let's go to the moon.
Well, that's lame space. Okay. A man is left in space due to an unfortunate accident, while another man on Earth struggles to bring him back safely. Man, that's boring as hell.
Yeah, I mean, South Korea just wanted to do The Martian. I mean, if
But
we're
that was on
being
Mars.
yeah, but we're just doing a close version of it. Also mixed with the Sandra Bullock one, Gravity. It's like yeah, that's basically it. A catastrophic mission failure strands a dude up in space. And it could have been like this is a South Korea blockbuster. All of the peril scenes are beautifully done. All the explosions, all the space destruction, everything looks beautiful. It's just everything around it. Honestly, it's the South Korean heavy, heavy melodrama just loves to choke every scene every dialogue scene, and there is also like every white dude in this movie is evil. Like, or just like a bad dude or just a bureaucratic asshole. And
I literally just finished watching a movie that was the exact same thing.
it's a lot of times a South Korean movie will do it, a Chinese movie will do it, where if there is white characters and white English speaking characters, and usually the worst actors you've ever seen, um, all their dialogue is always evil and terrible. And the same goes for this one. It kind of bummed me out. I wanted to like this one. Like I said, I'm a big fan of South Korean films. This one just really didn't have anything in it for me. And yeah, it just kind of watching it go by for all 2 hours and 9 minutes, except for those space action scenes. Those scenes work so well, but you can't live on that. It's mediocrity on a blockbuster level, is what I'm saying. How about we talk about a film unfinished?
A film about an unfinished film. Wow. Which portrays the people behind and before the camera in the Warsaw Ghetto, exposing the extent of the cinematic manipulation forever changing the way we look at historic images. Written and directed by Yale Herzonsky. Okay, so this is about
Yeah,
World War II?
this is during World War II, and it's the Nazis trying to make a film in Warsaw to show how awful that these Polish Jews are, and basically how much better that they're making their lives and everything. And it is to the T exactly what a propaganda film strives to be. And to see all this old footage, like it's some of it's so old that it's doing that it's doing that white burn on some of the on some of the cells and stuff like that. Like that's really interesting. Plus they have like um surviving like surviving people's testimony about it and stuff. So
Mm,
especially after coming off of watching Zone of Interest, which is now Academy Award nominated a bunch of times, but seeing that at the Vancouver International Film Festival, movies like this hit a lot harder. um and I know it's just like we've had so many Holocaust movies, but some of them open up the scab even more and make that story come to life even more. I will say watching this on Tubi, going to commercials for like Pampers and stuff in the middle of watching this Holocaust documentary is a little messed up, I will say, but definitely
yeah.
an interesting watch, especially if you like documentaries. And I've kind of gone heavy a little bit on documentaries this week. So this one was just like an off the cuff, I'm going to throw this on. And weird thing for me to throw on, I know, but a film unfinished, if you're into that kind of stuff and historically, it's an interesting watch.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy Holocaust movies. That doesn't sound right, but like The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is
Hmm.
one of my favorite movies. Like, even though it's a topic that's been talked about time and time again, you can never talk about it enough, right?
Hmm. um well, then for the future, Son of Saul. When I saw it at VIF, that was my first year going to VIF, I like needed a break. I was like, that movie hurt me. So it's a really really well done film. All right, so let's hit up some television. I got a couple of Apple TV ones, so let's start with the new Look, which also involves Nazis.
Nazis love no nope. Uh,
Nope, nope.
explores the rise of fashion designer Christian Dior as he dethrones Coco Chanel and helps return spirit and life to the world with his iconic imprint of beauty and influence. Beautiful Nazis.
During the rise of the Nazis, yeah, this is crazy because he's like trying to reclaim um a side that's not trying to be taken by the Nazis at the time. And Christian Dior is played by Ben Mendelsohn in this, and I love that dude. He's an Australian actor that I feel like he only came into like North American like movies and television in the last decade, maybe a bit more. Um, and I just really dig everything the guy does. He's such a great actor. And then playing Coco Chanel, doing 2 weeks in a row here, is Juliette Binoche, who was in The Taste of Things last week, which we covered. And it also has Maisie Williams and John Malkovich in this as well. Um, and I enjoy a good historical series, and with great caliber of actors. I'm into it. It's just a one series run, so it's just going to be the I think it's 8 episodes. I also think it's interesting that Jack Antonoff is the person that oversaw the score for this one, who is like the music producer of the moment, probably one of the biggest modern music producers of all time at this point, with Taylor Swift and everything. So another reach out of the Taylor Swift connection to this show.
Oh god.
Look, you're barking up the wrong tree on that one because I really dig her. She's an incredible writer, just incredible writer. But yeah, the new look, interesting series, especially if you're into the fashion history stuff, like and especially what it had to endure with the World War II and what it meant. That's interesting too. All right, let's hit some space sci-fi, more space sci-fi. This one with Numi Rapace. It's called Constellation.
Jo returns to Earth after a disaster in space and discovers there are missing pieces in her life. So she sets out to expose the truth about the hidden secrets of space travel and recover what she has lost. That isn't very easily followable, I feel.
No, and neither is the show. The show has time displacement. It feels like the mystery is a little vague, and at times more existential than grounded in any sort of tangible reality. Like it feels, some stuff just feels very dreamlike in it. That said, just like with the moon, all of the space peril stuff and explosions and all of that stuff is really, really well done. Which to me is like kind of a bone of contention, because I started off this year in film with watching ISS, which I really dug. So it's like, it's kind of a measuring stick when it comes to space. And then all of a sudden, all the space stuff starts coming out. I'm like, okay, well, you have a bar, and they're all like adhering to this level of space. At least the space stuff is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Constellation, I want to get further in the series to see how it develops. Is it interesting enough, or is it just going to play hard to get with the mystery constantly? But I love Numi Rapace. Like, she was really great in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movies, the original Swedish ones, playing Lisbeth Salander. I Even though Prometheus is just a dog shit movie, she's great in that. Like, she's really great, and I've enjoyed her in pretty much everything I've seen her in. So I'll continue watching it for her. And Jonathan Banks is in it. And any uh, Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul fan loves Jonathan Banks, and any series that he would probably latch onto would probably be interesting, because everyone loves Mike from that show. So why the hell not? Also, I want to say that it's directed by Oliver Hirschbiegel for a handful of episodes. He did the Hitler movie Downfall, as well as Das Experiment. And Michelle McLaren, who did a bunch of Game of Thrones episodes, does some episodes as well. All right. So, we got a bunch of returning shows. I know we're getting long in the tooth in this. We're wrapping up soon, but Tokyo Vice season 2 is back.
A Western journalist working for a publication in Tokyo takes on one of the city's most powerful crime bosses, starring Ansel Elgort and Ken Watanabe.
Who are both really, really, really good in this show. Ansel Elgort is a great kind of expat who is, again, a guy who has a pointed mission of trying to expose the Yakuza, but he's also a white journalist in Japan. And I find this story so fascinating. It's executive produced and showrun by Michael Mann, who is, I mean, god tier level. He did Heat, he did Miami Vice, Collateral, Manhunter. I mean, Last of the Mohicans. He's got a lot of stuff on his plate. There's such good tension in this show, and just that Yakuza gang life I find really, really, really fascinating. And Rachel Keller, who plays one of the supporting characters in this one, she played Sid in Legion with Dan Stevens. I think for that whole series run, Sid, her name's Sid Barrett in that show, which is like a Pink Floyd reference. She's really, really good in this series. And I don't know. I like seeing Michael Mann go to this Yakuza storytelling. It's like him doing Ridley Scott's Black Rain. Like it's just interesting to me. And it's gritty. Definitely a little talky. There's a little slow burn to it, but I dig the hell out of it. So yeah, Tokyo Vice season 2 is out now on Crave. All right, so let's go to Paramount Plus because the second season of Halo is now available.
With the galaxy on the brink of destruction, Master Chief John 117 leads his team of Spartans against the alien threat known as the Covenant, starring Pablo Schreiber.
As Master Chief, aka John.
John.
This is the little series that could. It was originally made for Showtime, and this is after Patrick Peter Jackson was going to do this, a movie at one point with Denzel Washington. Then Neil Blomkamp was going to do it. They had even test footage and built robots and everything for it. That turned into District 9. And then yeah, Showtime was going to make this series. Ridley Scott produced it, and then right before release, Showtime box on it. They decided, oh, okay, we don't want to do it. So then, in like kind of like a Hail Mary move, just as a launching service, Paramount Plus picks it up, and they sent me the screeners for the first season when it came out, and I initially liked the look of it. I'm like, aesthetically, it's correct. Um, but I felt, especially with the Covenant stuff and the human character and the Covenant story and everything, it was such a slow burn for that season to get going. But the last 3 episodes of season 1 are solid. Very, very solid. And I will say I've only watched episode 1 of season 2. It is like 3 times as good as those last 3 episodes were. Like, I enjoyed the hell out of the first episode, and largely the combat was something that I really, really love, especially with the swords. That stuff and the reveal of the planet, of all of the creatures on the planet, I was like, "Whoa." Like, this is really, really cool. Like, I'm digging it a lot now.
Yeah, the show is beautiful. Like everything is done so well visually. Acting, everybody's spot on.
Mhm.
Like I can't think of anyone that stands out as being bad. Um yeah, I put off watching it because I was like, oh, they're gonna botch it. But after, getting past like, wait, this isn't like the games, you can kind of get more into it. You just
Mhm.
have to like try not to connect the game so much to it, which
Yeah.
is really difficult because that's, what it is.
Right? Yeah.
But once you get past that, it's extremely enjoyable and it's a super fun watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm digging it. I think this is only gonna be 8 episodes for the second season, because first season was 9 episodes. This season is just going to be 8 is what I hear, but hopefully that it gets the renewal for a third season. Or I don't even know if they plan beyond this season. You never know, but yeah, I hope it gets a renewal. It might, because I'm hearing rumors of a merger between Paramount Plus and Peacock, so that might be, they'll need to have stuff still in place going. So I'm hoping that Halo is one of those shows. So yeah, both enjoying that one. That's one we can both collectively give the thumbs up to.
Yeah, and another thing, Pablo Schreiber, he's from BC.
Yeah, he's from Weimar. Weimar? Emer?
Yeah,
Weimar. Yeah, which is like a hippie commune.
Is it?
Weimer's a hippie commune, yeah, and his brother is Liev.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Liev Schreiber. Yeah, I was
very
super weirded
interesting.
out to learn that because they're like, I feel like Liev is like quite like short,
Mhm.
and then Pablo is over here. He's 6'4".
Yeah, he's a big guy. But one thing about Liev Schreiber, that is a cool ass dude. He just always comes off as cool. I don't know what it is about him. He is just so cool. All right. I made a promise to Disney that I would cover this one, but I love it a lot, so I'm covering it out of my own heart, which is breaking because it is the final season of Star Wars: The Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch of elite and experimental clones make their way through an ever changing galaxy in the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars.
D. Bradley Baker doing all the voices of the Bad Batch except Omega, and I
All?
yeah, because they're all clones, right?
Oh, right, right.
They're all clones. So he does, but they're all like a varying different voices. Like he is doing voice actors work doing all these voices, and I love this show. I never finished Clone Wars or Rebels. I want to, and I will. But Bad Batch, Disney sent me the screeners for the first season, which kind of came with the around the launch of Disney Plus as a service, and I fell for this show right away. I absolutely loved it. It's such a cool ragtag space, uh, kind of like space bounty storyline, and I could really get behind something like that. And I've always kind of liked the way that the Clone Wars and Rebels was animated anyway, so that was never an issue with me. And yeah, there's really great character building in this, and I'm really sad to see it go. Actually, on my Instagram a few days ago, I shared a video of a bunch of fans talking about how connected like how they connected with this series and everything, and they didn't know that the voice actors were in the other room listening the whole time, and then kind of came in and surprised him. And I love shit like that. Like, I guess I'm an old dude now because I that's the kind of stuff that really gets my heartstrings. And to see that there is a big audience that connected with this series is very cool. All right, so this one, the last new release series right now before we head into the geek outs and close out, is the completely made up adventures of Dick Turpin.
A reluctant leader of a gang of rogues set out on a series of wild adventures, all while trying to outwit the corrupt lawman and thief taker Jonathan Wild. Starring Noel Fielding.
Do you know the Mighty Boosh? You ever heard of this series?
I think I've heard of it,
It's
yeah.
like a BBC series. I don't know how into British comedy you are, but Noel Fielding is an absolute madman. And the Mighty Boosh was like a brainchild of him and Julian Barrett, making just a crazy psycho series. And this is has a lot of that feel to it. It wasn't created by Noel himself, but it does feel like it's flavored by his insanity. And basically, he is a grifter that's telling a wild story of Dick Turpin, who he plays in this story, who's a bigger than life character. And it's got Space Mark Heap in this one. Black Book's Tamsin Gregg is in it. And I've dug the first couple episodes. I do feel like this show only has so much legs. Like it's gotta peter out at some point. I could be wrong, but so far so good, but it does feel shaky. And it's funny that Noel Fielding's been basically hanging out doing the Great British Bake Off for years now. That it's been a long time since I've seen him in anything. So I think that's kind of funny. So yeah, that ends up all the TV focus this week, which is kind of funny because I'm going to bring you more TV for the geek outs this week, starting with Stargirl season 1.
Teenager Courtney Whitmore joins the Justice Society of America, based on the character from DC Comics, starring Breck Basinger, Trey Romano, Amy Smart, and Luke Wilson. Like Owen Wilson's brother?
Like Owen Wilson's brother. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like wow,
Yeah.
but not that guy. The one that was like in Never
the
was he in? No, he was in Home Fries with Drew Barrymore. I was gonna say he was in Never Been Kissed, but that's David Arquette. He wasn't a Drew Barrymore movie though. These are all 2000s movies, and you're like, I was a baby then.
Yeah, I'm just starting to get into like a lot of the like late 80s, 90s, early
That's what this
2000s movies
that's what this
now.
podcast is going to be. Stargirl season 1. This was part of the launch of the now defunct DC Universe streaming, which got rolled into Max, I believe. It got rolled into like HBO Max. But DC had this big idea that they were going to do all their television on one streaming service. So they did this, and they did a Swamp Thing series that James Wan did, the guy behind the Conjuring movies. He did a Swamp Thing, and then just with those two shows, it just wasn't enough. And I think Titans, which I'm going to talk about in a second, was part of that, but it just wasn't enough to bring enough subscribers to it. So it just eventually ended up on Max, while Stargirl went to the CW, which is where all the Arrowverse shows went to eventually die, sadly. Stargirl's fun. It does have that CW quality to it. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about because you talked about Riverside or Riverdale earlier. You know the
Hmm.
CW feel, the Vampire Diaries feel, you know what I mean? It's got tinges
Yeah.
of that, but it only came in season 3 when it made the shift. Season 1 still has that cable feel to it. Breck Basinger is great, and it also features a little beginning cameo by Joel McHale as a superhero, and just seeing Jeff Winger as a superhero is kind of cool. I don't know, I dig it, but if you're not a comic book fan, you probably won't, which is the same for the next series, Titans.
Dick and Rachel, a girl possessed by a strange darkness, get embroiled in a conspiracy that could bring hell on Earth. Joining them along the way are the hot headed Starfire and lovable Beast Boy. Together, they become a team of heroes. This is for children, right?
No, no, this is an adult series. This one was billed as like the angsty anti-Batman because I believe in the first trailer for it, they have Robin beat somebody up, and they're like, "Oh, are you Batman?" He's like, "I'm not Batman," and he's like, "Fuck Batman." Like they swear in this show. Yeah, so they like played on being super angsty. Like that was just the way they wanted to go with this show.
So is that like
Um,
the whole personality then?
kinda. It's grit. It's grit.
Okay.
But it's because of this show that we got Doom Patrol, and Doom Patrol is amazing. Amazing. Like I love Doom Patrol. I'm watching the final season right now. I adore everything about it. Brendan Fraser is in it, and I love him in it. Even if you don't like comic book stuff at all, I really recommend Doom Patrol because it's really, 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 really good. Really good. But I don't know. I do like the who they have playing Dick Grayson in this is Brenton Thwaites, who blockbuster wise is known as being the kind of lead in one of the later Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I think it was on Stranger Tides. He's like a deckhand that is like quasi main character. But it's also got Joyvan Wade, who plays Cyborg in this and in Doom Patrol. And I don't know, personally, I was just excited that Warner Brothers sent me all 4 seasons in the same box set. So I think it's worth watching if you're a comic book fan. Again, mostly if you're a comic book fan. And the last this week, at the end of this whole marathon, I got a 4K copy of Violent Night. What's it about?
An elite team of mercenaries breaks into a family compound on Christmas Eve, taking everyone hostage. However, they aren't prepared for a surprise combatant. Santa Claus is on the grounds, and he's about to show why this Nick is no saint. and it's
Did you
directed by Tommy Wirkola, starring David Harbour, John Leguizamo, Beverly D'Angelo, and Alexis Louder.
did you see this movie?
I have seen reviews.
You need to see this movie. You
Okay.
will love this movie. This is Die Hard with Santa.
And David
And like
Harbour, like I love David Harbour, so
and you will love him even more in this movie. Um I say it's Die Hard with Santa and just buckets of gore. Like buckets of gore cuz Tommy Wirkola directed a couple of movies called Dead Snow and Dead Snow 2. Have you ever seen these movies?
um Dead Snow's the one with like
Not
on like the poster it's the Nazi head in the snow,
Yeah,
right?
Nazi zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we're bringing it back to Nazis again. This is the
It's all
theme. This is
Nazis.
the theme. This movie's wild. It is so crazy. Like established, David Harbour's great. Alexis Louder is really good. I really love her since I saw her for the first time in Cop Shop with Gerard Butler and Frank Grillo. Really great movie. And it's also got is it Kellen Lutz? Oh, I'm thinking it's or no, sorry, it's Cam Gigonde. And Cam Gigonde plays his character's loosely based on Mark Wahlberg because he's an actor in it,
Okay.
and it's hilarious. I don't want to give any more of this movie because I want you to organically watch this movie because it's so funny. But I asked for it in 4K because they did a re-release and the 4K finally came out. And just like Cocaine Bear, when that movie came out, I asked for that 4K, and it's like B movie gold. You have to have them in 4K. So I feel like 2023, my B movie gold was Violent Night and Cocaine Bear. And now I'm happy with it. I'm happy. Have you seen Cocaine Bear?
I have not. I wanted to see it in theaters, but I didn't get around to
No,
it, and I still haven't seen
it's
it.
good. We'll rectify all of these, but going forward, there's going to be some good stuff. And going forward, next week, ladies and gentlemen, Dune Part 2. Finally. Finally. I like this feels like such a long time coming that I can finally review this movie. So bear with me. Next week will be Dune Part 2. I don't know how you feel about these movies, but I love the first one. So
I haven't seen Dune. It's based on a game, right?
it's based on a book by Frank Herbert, but
A
also a
book,
game.
right?
Also a game. They did
Yeah,
make a game out of it
yeah.
too. Yeah. Yeah. So all right, we'll get you versed on all of that. Well, by the time part 2 hits blue, you'll have seen it. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Can I bring up a movie
Yes.
that I saw recently?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So on Tubi, I watched Corrective Measures with Bruce Willis.
And Michael Rooker?
Uh,
Is Michael Rooker in this one?
Michael Rooker is in it. Yep. Came out in 2022
Yeah.
to go downhill, and it's pretty obvious on screen. Because first of all, he's barely on it,
Mhm.
and when he is, he's not his usual. Like I'm the action guy. It was like very muted, very like non-enthusiastic, and it was kind of just upsetting.
Yeah, I went near the end of last year I went through his Detective Night movies. Um and yeah, he bookends them mostly. Like he's in the beginning and the end maybe. And or he just pops in and out and leaves other actors to kind of do the heavier lifting. But yeah, I really felt like it was part of his management team kind of padding up for retirement. and and because it from the retirement now to where we are like at the recording time, it's been a drastic difference from what I've read. So it's tragic. It's tragic to happen to such a legend, you know, but also a legend that bullied Kevin Smith on Cop Out.
Yeah,
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 still a legend though. He's John McClane. I mean, Die Hard will always live on with
yeah.
everybody.
And also in corrective measures, the makeup and the CG is just so bad.
Well,
Like
I think it's a
it's
DTV, like a direct to video, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, it's a Tubi original.
Oh, even
But
better.
yeah, it's good. But like I've watched some other Tubi originals and they like some of them are really good, others are complete garbage and should not exist at
Mhm.
all. Um Maybe it was just because there was so much makeup and CG needed to do corrective measures that it was kind of just obvious how bad it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes
it
sense.
was it was a little bit of a disappointment, but I don't know what else I expected from Tubi, so
Well, what the whole time I noticed that you didn't do this. So, I think I'd skip that one, right?
yeah, you can probably skip that one.
Alrighty, so that is all from Chloe and I on What the Hell Should I Watch? You can find all the episodes on stevestebbing.ca. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Letterboxd at the Stevel Dead. You can also find these episodes on shiftheads.ca and on the YouTube channel that you're probably watching right now. Chloe is on Letterboxd now.
I am on Letterbox. You can find me at Honeybun Chloe or just Chloe Stebbing, either one.
And if you want to talk to Chloe, I have questions for Chloe. Just put them in the comment box down here, down there, down there, and we'll try to answer them on the next episode because that's what we do. So for everybody for this week, that was what the hell you should watch, and we'll have more for you next week.